Once in a while, something comes along and disrupts things. In the tech world recently, think of the Apple MacBook Neo, a product that has PC laptop manufacturers genuinely rattled on price, performance, and build quality. In the running shoe world, I think that disruptor might just be the recent rise of Chinese running shoe brands. And today, I'm giving you my thoughts on my first Chinese brand shoe, the Li-Ning Red Hare 9 Ultra, after more than 75 kilometers in them. This review is not sponsored. I bought these with my own money, so everything you're about to hear is based purely on my own experience. If you do want to support the channel and you are shopping for anything on Amazon, please consider using my referral code. It doesn't cost you any extra, and I get a little kickback, which helps me buy shoes and running tech to help me keep making these review videos. And now back to the review. Running shoes are pretty subjective, so it's worth knowing who's reviewing them. I've been running for about 14 years. My PBs across 5K, 10K, half marathon and full marathon are on screen now. I'm a flat arch runner weighing around 190 pounds, and I typically run 4 times a week, with peak weeks hitting around 65 kilometers. I do the full mix of sessions: interval, tempo, steady, easy and long runs. So onto some facts about the shoe. The Li-Ning Red Hare 9 Ultra doesn't have a retail recommended price here in the UK. You have to go through somewhere like AliExpress, which is where I got mine. My pair in this very vivid colourway cost me £118.86 delivered and arrived about a week after ordering. They're available in both men's and women's fit. Men's go up to a UK 13 and women's up to a UK 6.5. My UK 13 weighs in at 329 grams, in the ballpark of shoes like the Nike Pegasus Plus, Asics Superblast 5 and Mizuno Neo Vista. Fair warning, you're going to hear the word boom a lot in this review, so apologies in advance. The upper material is called Boom Fiber Tech. The closest comparison I'd make is the upper on my Hare Rocket X3. It's light, breathable with very little stretch. There is also a Go Faster stripe on the forefoot, similar to the Nike Pegasus Plus. The tongue is gusseted and lightweight, with some cutouts for breathability and light padding around the lace tie area, very similar in execution to the Asics Blast series tongues. The heel collar is nicely padded, about 13mm at its most padded point. It is structured and doesn't collapse, and it gives a really good balance. The midsole is triple layered and has the visual feel of the Nike Pegasus Premium or Vomero Premium, but instead of air zoom bags, you've got encapsulated foam. The top layer is called Superboom, Li-Ning's bleeding edge foam tech, which I believe is an advanced PEBA type polymer. They claim 89% energy return in this particular foam. In the middle is a Superboom capsule, claiming 95% energy return, and it's essentially a wrapped encapsulated version of the top layer foam. The base is the more well-established Boom foam, first introduced in 2019. This is a firmer PEBA foam, there to essentially provide support and durability. There is also a glass fibre support plate sandwiched between the top Superboom and the Superboom capsule around the midfoot. You can actually see it poking out of the midsole edge, providing some stability rather than it being a performance type plate. The outsole is called GCU, which is ground controlled something, maybe unit. Miraculously, the word boom does not appear here. The GCU gives pretty full coverage of the midsole foam with a cutout down the middle to show the Superboom capsule. It reminds me of the outsole on the Nike Invincible 3 and more recently the Nike Vomero Plus. Pretty solid coverage with a lot of little lugs with some slight gaps with exposed midsole foam. Stack wise, I believe it is a 46mm heel and a 38mm toe, giving an 8mm drop. So onto my experience, starting with the good. So after 75 kilometers, I'll just come out and say it, these shoes are pretty unbelievable. In the latter weeks of my London Marathon training block, I was alternating my road sessions between the Asics Superblast 3 and the Red Hare 9 Ultra, and genuinely having a lot of fun doing it. Like the Superblast 3, I found the Red Hare 9 Ultra to be an incredibly versatile shoe. It's been on my feet during easy and recovery runs at around 5 minutes 30 to 5 minutes 50 per kilometre. It's been on my feet during interval efforts with 2.5 minute repeats at around 3 minutes 45 per kilometre. And they've they've been on my feet during 5k tempo efforts at around 4 minutes 10 to 4 minutes 20 per kilometre, and there hasn't been a run type so far where I've felt this shoe isn't built for it. They are forgiving at the slower paces, being cushioned but not overly so or too mushy, and they are incredibly responsive at the faster end, giving a plate-like pop when you really start driving through the shoe. Having regularly rotated between the Red Hare 9 Ultra and the Superblast 3, they give very different feelings of how they deliver that responsiveness. The Superblast 3, to me, has more of a softer balance responsiveness. The Red Hare 9 Ultra, however, feels more like a coiled spring or a carbon-plated shoe without the carbon plate. They actually reminded me more of the Nike Zoom Fly 6 than anything else. On the foot, the Boom Fibre upper gives a more locked in feel than most of the other versatile daily trainers in my collection. I would say this is closer to a racing shoe feel than a daily trainer. In my collection, it feels most like the Hoka Rocket X3 than anything else. Now onto some of the bad. A couple of things that I think are worth flagging. As a flat arch runner, I found the Red Hare 9 Ultra to be a reasonably stable shoe, far more so than the Adidas EVO SL, which I find incredibly unstable, but I do prefer the stability setup on the Asics Superblast 3. The glass fibre plate on the Li-Nings approaches stability different to the raised wedge of firmer FF Blast Plus on the medial midfoot on the Superblast 3. The Red Hare 9 Ultra seems to counter instability with a widened, firm winged plate, whereas the Superblast 3 more directly addresses medial instability through less compressive foam in that area. Looking at some slow motion treadmill footage, I don't land quite as true in the Red Hare Ultras as I do in the Superblast 3s, and I do feel that on longer efforts. If you're a more neutral runner though, this probably isn't going to be a concern for you at all. Another thing I'm not so keen on is the insole, specifically how glued in it is. The factory insole is actually 5 or 6 millimeters thick and adds to the overall comfort of the shoe, but you simply can't remove it without risking damage to the shoe. In some shoes, like the Asics Megablast, I've preferred swapping in an Enitor insole, but that is just not an option here. I've got on fine with the factory insole, but the option to swap it out would be nice. The final thing is the cutout in the center of the outsole. It hasn't caused me any real issues while out running, but I have found myself pulling out a couple of stones that have got wedged in the gap post-run. So onto my final thoughts. At under £120 delivered, the Li-Ning Red Hare 9 Ultra obliterates the competition in this price bracket. The only shoe that maybe comes close on a price to performance ratio is the Adidas EVO SL, but that is a shoe that I personally don't get on with, even though I know plenty of you do. I've made a few comparisons to the Asics Superblast 3 in this review, and that's because this shoe genuinely operates at the level of a £200 super trainer. For me, it'll sit in my rotation alongside the Superblast 3, the Red Hare for training runs up to about half marathon distance, with the more stable Superblast 3 taking on those longer efforts. And since I've finished my marathon training and been putting in some harder Saturday morning 5k efforts, it's been a fantastic parkrun shoe. Getting hold of them does require a bit of effort. It's not available through traditional UK retailers, but AliExpress makes it straightforward enough if you're willing to wait a week for delivery. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried the Red Hare 9 Ultra or any other Chinese brands that seem to be taking off right now? A lot aren't available in my size, but let me know what I should be looking out for, and hopefully I can get some more in front of the camera. Until next time, please like the video, subscribe for more running content, and I'll see you soon. See ya.